Hey everyone, I am Nihala Nazeer. Today we are going to cover a summarized portion of Chapter 2 from P1 of CIMA. So the second chapter is Traditional Costing. I'm just going to give an overview of how costing is done using traditional methods. So there are two methods of costing that we consider while preparing a standard cost card. One is the absorption costing and the other one is the marginal costing. Under absorption costing, what we do is we take the full production cost per unit for a product. Under this, we categorize the cost into three. Okay. One is the direct cost. Direct cost are everything that is directly attributable to that product. For example, raw materials. Okay. So the labor required for the product, etc. And the indirect costs are those costs, okay, which are not directly attributable to the product, but it becomes a final part of what the product is. For example, you rent a factory for your production. So the factory rent you give is an indirect cost because without it you can't start your or resume your production. Okay. So the second type of cost here is indirect cost. And the third type of cost is non-production cost. Now, these type of cost does not directly involve in the producing the goods and services. Okay. So this is basically the type of cost which you use to support your production. For example, the advertisement expenses you take, the delivery expenses you incur, or the administrative cost that is required to run the business. So these comes under non-production cost. Let's see in detail how in absorption costing we prepare a cost card. Okay. So cost card in absorption costing, as I have told you earlier, there are three categories of cost which we take. So the direct materials per unit is taken first, which is a direct cost. Okay. And the labor per unit, that is the direct labor per unit. And also the production overhead that is involved in producing that particular product. So all these together becomes the full production cost of the product. These overheads, I should tell you a note. These overheads, the production overheads, are usually taken as per unit basis. That is, you divide the overhead divided by the volume of production, or you take the machine hours, okay, or you take the labor hours, whichever is plausible for you to divide the cost you take. The general equation is that the total budgeted overhead that you predetermine, or all the overheads that are attributable to the product, and you divide it by the budgeted production volume. And this budgeted production volume can be anything. It can be the units you have produced, or the machine hours it takes to produce the goods, or the labor hours it takes.